Talking Points with Keith Vaz, celebrating diversity.
This is Lyca Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Points on Lyca Radio with me, Keith Vaz. Thank you for joining me today, Sunday the 17th of January 2021. My special guest today is the new leading man in Lyca Media. He worked in the media all his life and he's still only 38. Raj Badan, born in Birmingham, honed in Leicester, has landed in Canary Wharf. The Raj has arrived. Talking Points has had his first exclusive interview. Believe me, he's not a bad 'un, he's a good 'un. It took me a long time to think of that.
Lyca Radio.
A brand new start for a brand new year. My special guest today is someone I am sure you will be hearing a lot more about. He is the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Lyca Media, and has just joined the company this year. He's had an impressive career in radio as a presenter of his immensely successful drive time show on Sabras Radio, the largest Asian radio station in the Midlands, a station he has also managed. He's presented shows on Z Radio in London and Radio XL in Birmingham. He's the co-founder and editor of Biz Asia, the UK's only Asian media and entertainment website. He's interviewed all manner of Bollywood stars, from film and television, from the Bachchans, father and son, to Shilpa Shetty, Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan. His talents were recognised by the Leicester Asian Glitz Awards, and he received the Best Radio Presenter Award not once, not twice, but 3 times. He's also been nominated twice for Best Radio Presenter by the National Asian Media Awards. His first and exclusive interview is with Talking Points. Good morning, Raj.
Morning, Keith. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining me on Talking Points today and coming across the corridor in order to conduct this interview.
Keith, can I just say thank you so much? It's a complete honour to be on your show. And I'm not just saying that because obviously we've had a history from working in Leicester together. It's also a fantastic opportunity to be here in my new appointment at Lyca Media. So it feels weird actually because this should be the other way around. I should be interviewing you, Keith, with what I've done over the years.
But now the poacher has turned gamekeeper. Can I congratulate you on behalf of all our listeners most warmly on your new position?
Thank you very much, Keith. Thank you.
Now, you've arrived in Canary Wharf, but there's a bit of Birmingham, I would imagine, still with you. Can you remember your early life in Birmingham? And do you think you brought some of it on your journey, your very short journey? You're only 38 years of age. So your short journey to Canary Wharf, is there a bit of Birmingham in there?
Yeah, I think with me, Keith, I think the Birmingham will always remain. I think if it's not in the accent, I think the experience and everything that I've learned from the media, as you mentioned in the introduction, from the media work that I've done, obviously the university I was at, the radio stations I worked at, also the publications when I was working at the Evening Mail, which is equivalent to the Evening Standard. So yeah, I think I still got that kind of Birmingham in me. I don't think that Birmingham will ever leave me, even though I know half of my life I think I spent in Leicester, of course, where we're from. But yeah, I think the Birmingham will always be in me.
Now, you started with your radio show on the University of Central England.
That's right.
Based in Birmingham. Did you ask to go on there, or were you asked to be part of it? Because student radio is quite different, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is completely different. And at that time when I was doing my degree in media and communication, it was a great opportunity. They approached me because I was doing a media and communication degree anyway, and they said, Raj, have you considered doing something for university radio? And I said, well, yeah. I said, I don't mind doing any radio. I mean, because I've always had some interest in radio. For me to do something on Shine FM, as it was called, I'd be more than happy to do it. But it all depends on obviously availability, timings, etc., etc. Then the opportunity was too good for me to turn down. So I said yes, like that.
Now, some have suggested that had you not gone into the media, you might have gone and become a Bollywood actor. There's a suggestion that you look a bit like a Bachchan brother. Did this ever occur to you that actually it was a different form of media? You could have been an actor.
No. Keith, I've always been a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. So even the presenting that I've done on radio It just happens to be that radio these days is a lot more visual than the olden days where, it was just a listening thing. But now with social media, it's become a lot more bigger where it's a lot more visual. It's fantastic that I've been compared to a Bachchan. And I know you spent a lot of time. In fact, you brought Abhishek Bachchan into Leicester that time. I remember when at the People's Centre in Leicester, he was a complete rage. But I don't think I ever would. I don't think I would ever get into acting. I think I'm too much of a media professional for me to do anything else. But thank you very much, Keith, for even thinking that and even suggesting that.
This is Keith Vaz on Lyca Radio 1458, talking to the new Chief Executive Officer of Lyca Media, Raj Baden. Raj, you started your career at Radio XL in Birmingham. Did you therefore go straight from university into XL? XL, of course, is a big radio station in the West Midlands. Or was there something in between?
No. So as soon as I graduated at university, I saw the position of a presenter for Radio XL. And I thought because Radio XL is right on my doorstep, it wasn't too far, it's about a 10-minute drive. I thought, let's do this. Working, and I've always been a commercial radio kind of guy. There's something about commercial radio which really appeals to me. I think the lack of red tape is always a good thing. And Radio XL, it's a massive, as you mentioned, it's a huge name in Birmingham, being the only Asian commercial radio station there at that time. So there wasn't a second thought of me not doing it. I thought when I was given the opportunity, I took it up. I did about a year there, and it came at a good time because leaving university and adding all the experience on my CV, I think at that time was very important. And I've always been told during my university and college days that more than the qualifications, especially in media, it's the experience, it's the commitment you're showing to one is always a big thing. So I've always recommended that to anyone who's training up to be successful in media, is making sure that you add a lot of experience onto your CV.
Now, since your arrival here only last week, you've already advertised for new voices, new presenters on the radio station here at Lyca Radio. After XL, you went off to Sabras Radio for 14 years.
Yeah.
Again, was it a case of answering an advertisement? Obviously, you went up market going from Birmingham to Leicester, there's no doubt about that. But a smaller city, but you were the top guy there. You eventually ended up running the station.
I did.
So should people in the media make the first approach, or should they wait for the advertisement to go out first?
Keith, first of all, I think moving from Birmingham to Leicester, it was never in my mind that I was going to do that, because I thought Birmingham being the biggest city after London, outside London, I thought it's always going to be the case I'll stay in Birmingham. However, the Leicester dream, how it all happened was at the time when I was just finishing my stint at Radio XL, I was talking to one of the presenters, it was one of the sales staff who did some work between Sabras and also Radio XL. And I will always name check him because I will never forget the people from down that have helped me up. So to Delvia was such an amazing sales guy, and I'm sure he still is, wherever he is. But he was the person that introduced me to Sabras in Leicester. And he said, Raj, I know the trek's going to be a bit, for you, about an hour drive. It's going to be every day for you. But why don't you go in to Sabras, go and see what they're about, go and meet the people there and decide. And that's exactly what I did. And I think that particular moment, I remember how magical it was. And since then, I've always kept it close to my heart. So that one meet that I had in the afternoon was absolutely incredible. And it has stayed with me for forever now. And I cannot forget that afternoon that I met the station managing director, Don Kotak, and the rest of the staff there as well. And I've always been told, don't forget how you started. And I think that was my big Asian radio gig. I think even though Radio XL was great, I think the whole Sabras experience was just something else completely.
But you went on, while this was all going on, presenting, managing, to found your own publication, an online publication, Biz Asia, which is now regarded as the market leader in terms of giving information about the Asian media to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Why did you create this publication? How do you see that developing?
So 2004, 2005 was the 2 years were very pinnacle for me in my personal life, because not only did I leave Radio XL and join Sabras, but also I launched bizasialive.com, which, like you said, is the only UK Asian media and entertainment portal. It's something that I set up with my brother, my twin brother. It's Lyca Baden, who's listening at the moment. So I want to say hi to him. And also, I just want to say the reason why we launched it is because we always had an interest in media, but we could never find anything for Asian Asian media. There was never anything where we could go to like a one-stop kind of website where we can find all the latest news on what's happening in the media, in entertainment, and a UK-based company. And we started as a hobby, and then eventually it became into a business. And that's how it is. And I'm still happy and I'm still proud that it remains the only website around.
And it's grown and grown.
Yeah,
it's truly international.
It is indeed.
And do you think that's because at the time that you launched it, the internet, digital media was not what it is today?
Yeah.
But now, of course, it can be seen anywhere in the world.
Keith, I think that's one upper hand that I've had over our rivals is that, because we've been around in 2005 at that time, there wasn't many kind of publications like bizasialive.com. And now obviously there's been an explosion of websites, of digital apps and all sorts. So I'm happy that we've had the upper hand and we've had that, we can proudly say that we were and we are still the first biggest website of its kind in the UK and now globally.
This is Keith Vaz on Lyca Radio 1458, talking to the Chief Executive of Lyca Media, Raj Badden. We will be back after the break to talk to him about his career as a presenter, all those glamorous Bollywood figures he has interviewed. Stay tuned, join me after the break.
Lyca Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz, celebrating diversity.
This is Lyca Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Lyca Radio 1458, talking to Raj Badden, the Chief Executive of Lyca Media. Now, Raj, you have interviewed several prominent Bollywood stars, from Salman Khan to Amitabh Bachchan, Sridevi to Madhuri Dixit. Who was your favourite? Who was the one that you felt most nervous about interviewing, actually thinking, my God, I'm actually going to be sitting in a room with this person? Which one?
Okay, so I'd probably say I don't really get nervous, Keith. Honestly, I don't really get nervous when it comes to interviewing.
But you must be a bit starstruck.
I think Salman Khan was a little bit more. I think because he had this kind of like persona about him. So when you enter the room and he's sitting there and he's got this kind of posture, you're thinking, okay, how is this guy gonna be? And when I got my 2-minute interview out of him for Big Boss, I remember that a couple of years ago for Colours TV. I remember when I did that interview, I was like, okay, this was quite difficult to do, and it was quite a challenging interview because when you've got someone on the other side who isn't so kind of forthcoming in giving answers, it makes the interview a bit more kind of cringe, and at the same time it's a bit more of a challenging interview. So yeah, I remember that particular time, but I think the most memorable interview for me would be I remember Aishwarya Rai Bachchan when I go to Cannes Film Festival, which is a yearly thing for me. It's for the last 4 years. Obviously we couldn't go because of the pandemic last year, but I remember every time we've been to the Cannes Film Festival with my team from Sabras, I cannot praise that lady enough. She is absolutely a gem of a person. I remember one year she saw me talking to someone else, to another journalist friend of mine, and she came towards me and she was like, Raj, how you doing? And then her PA, whoever it was, dragged her away. I was like, oh, come on, Aishwarya, I was just about to talk to you, So yeah, it's one of those things. I think Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, I think you've got a close connect with the Bachchans anyway, but Aishwarya Rai Bachchan is phenomenal.
Now, why is it that British Indians, are still so obsessed with Bollywood? 14 million Indians go to the movies on a daily basis to see one of the 800 films created by the Bollywood movie industry each year. We understand why the Indians from India do this, but you're a British lad, born in Birmingham, now living in London. Why is our community so obsessed with Bollywood? And will this always be the case?
I think we've always had Bollywood in our blood. When it comes to television, I think being grown up and watching TV from such a young age, I remember when, films were aired on Channel 4 at that time in the 80s and BBC 2 in the early part of the 80s. Watching those movies is what's made us, we had that kind of accessibility. But now having a flurry of channels on satellite and on all these digital apps is, this accessibility is so there. But I think in terms of how we consume Bollywood movies has changed a little bit. So I think gone are the days where you'll watch a movie that's being shown on television to now deciding what kind of movie genres you want to watch, because those days of dancing around the tree have gone. I mean, you're not going to get those kind of song sequences anymore in Bollywood films. And now you'll see different films without any songs in them. So now the way that the films are created and, the kind of audience they're targeting has certainly changed. And I think we will always love Bollywood Hollywood just to have that kind of escapism. I think you need that kind of escapism, don't we, from the real lives.
Now, tell me something. You've hosted so many shows. I'm coming up to my first 50. That's
Really?
That's not years, by the way, though I might look it. It's actually programs. You've done many, many more hours of broadcasting. Maybe we should be like pilots and we should have hours of broadcasting on a little card. But how do you refresh? How do you make sure that you entertain your audience but don't lose them?
First of all, congratulations on your 50th show. So yeah, I'm so glad that I'm part of this particular stage in your radio career. I don't know what it is. I think with me, I just keep, when it comes to reviewing the output of my radio shows that I had done at Sabras, is just keep listening back to them as a listener and think, what's working? Because what happens is that when I'm at home and I'm not working, I'm tuned in as a listener rather than a radio professional. So I'll put myself in a listener's perspective and think, am I enjoying this program? And I love reviewing my own show because I think the best reviewer is yourself and then obviously everyone else. And if there's particular elements of your show you're enjoying, great. And if not, then you know as a listener you will not be enjoying it. So I've constantly reviewed my output, and that's exactly now what I'm doing with Lyca. And I'm just reviewing the output as a listener. I'm thinking what elements work and what elements don't, and if there's certain things that I'm saying, if there's certain features that I've got which are not current enough, and I know that there isn't much of a interaction with the audience, then I know that we start phasing out and bring something new in, which I love checking what's on social media. So on social media, what the latest trends are, bring those kind of trends in on the radio, and that's a great way of measuring the success of what's current. And I'm a very kind of current guy, so when it comes to elements on social media, we know that there's a particular talking point, or if there's a particular feature that is being done on another radio station, we think, okay, is there something better we can do? We can tweak it and make it better. So yeah, I mean, I've always done that.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz, celebrating diversity.
This is Lyca Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Lyca Radio 1458, talking to my very special guest, the Chief Executive of Lyca Media, Raj Badan. Raj, radio has seen a major boost in listenership during the pandemic. There's now 37 million people in the UK tuning in each week last year, the highest figure ever recorded. You remember that line in that song, Video Kill the Radio Star? Well, actually, it didn't happen because here we have you, the radio star, still very much with us. What do you think has happened that has kept radio going when everyone thought it had gone?
I think there's always been this competition between radio and television over the years. The thing with radio is, I mean, I've always felt that radio is a success because of the personal approach. It's a very personal medium. You have national TV channels, you have national newspapers, but I think having the radio connect and having, especially with the pandemic, you'll know how, you mentioned obviously figures and how radio stations have gone up in terms of listening. I know some of the bigger radio station brands, the reach of these radio stations, they've increased by 15%. Even the listening hours have increased up to about 10 to 12% as well. And that is a massive thing because people turn to radio as comfort, and radio has always been that kind of comfort medium. They can take it away with them wherever they're going. I know I've got my phone always on. I've always got my Lyca Radio set on my mobile app. So wherever I'm going, if I'm going out of the house, anywhere in the house, if I'm in the car traveling, I've got it. And so it feels like a bit of a companion that's traveling with me anywhere I go. You can't do that with TV. With the newspaper, it's a bit bland. You can't do the same with that. And I think the best thing is having radio, and it's had that, and it's always evolved with time. So it started off as just a very linear kind of medium, but now because of social media and because of mobile apps, it's become a lot visual.
It's good you mentioned that because radio is 121 years old this year, but WhatsApp is only 11 years old, and people we hear are leaving WhatsApp to join Telegram.
Yep.
So these digital platforms are shocking in the way in which they develop so fast because of the work that you've done on BizAsia and elsewhere. What do you think the next stage is as far as social media is concerned? Every couple of years, there's something new that comes on the market. How are we going to cope with that?
I think the thing with the WhatsApp, I know there was a lot of news in the last few days to do with the privacy policies and whatnot, but I think there'll always be a market for such digital kind of apps, and I think there will always be some kind of interactive element just to kind of bring the world closer together. And whether it's a dating app or whether it's a social media platform platform or something like WhatsApp, there's always going to be some room. How it's done and in what ways they're done, that's always going to be the kind of the big question. And we're talking about radio in particular. I think the plans that I've got for radio is once again bringing in that audience and having a Lyca family. So I don't want to give too much away, and I know, Keith, you're not going to ask me all that in terms of plans, but the plans that we've got.
Tell us about the vision, the broad vision of what you think a radio station should be doing.
Yeah, so for me, I think radio is all about having that local feel. I mean, I love having national radio stations accessibility-wise, but I think having a local radio station and having that connect with the presenter. Now, Keith, when you're on Sunday mornings, I feel that connect with you because you've got that very personal approach to your show, and having that personal connect with a presenter is the best thing you can do. Now, that's going to be one element of my work here at Lyca. Having that personal touch with the presenters is going to be big. And the other thing is the reach, so how the station is going to be available in different kind of mediums and on different platforms is what we're going to be working on to make sure that Lyca Radio and Dil Se, both stations will be available easily to everyone. There's obviously been, quite a few changes that we've had here, and there'll be a lot more that will be that will be unveiled in the next few days, next few weeks, where we're going to be bringing in a lot more new elements to the radio station, which I think people will already get kind of a grasp of. I think they're already feeling a little bit of a change, and there'll be a lot more happening over the next few days.
Now, we always ask our special guests to choose their favourite song. So, Raj Badan, what is your favourite song, and who would you like to dedicate it to? I mean, asking someone like you to choose a favourite song when you must have about 10,000 to choose from. Please choose one, just one.
Okay.
And let us know who's it dedicated to and why.
Okay, so Keith, you will know who I'm going to dedicate it to because I had a personal loss. In fact, not just a personal loss for me, but for Leicester, for also Sabras Radio as well. Someone who was very close to me. In fact, he will always be close to me. A presenter at the radio station at Sabras, and also someone who worked very closely with me in management as well, Rishi Modi. I don't know, Keith, I reached out to you as well when the news came about that Rishi was in hospital in Kenya at the time, and it was obviously during the coronavirus pandemic, and he passed away due to coronavirus. So I reached out to you, Keith, because we needed some support, we needed some help with him in Kenya, and I know you've got many contacts there to kind of help us. Unfortunately, Rishi passed away in December, but there's one particular song. I remember the last conversation that Rishi and I had while he was in the UK I remember he was tuned into my drive time show on Sabras Radio, and I said, Raj, can you play me the song from Kabir Singh, Mere Sone Aave, because it's one song that I absolutely adore. It's one of my favourites, and I have it on loop all the time. And I did say to him, I said, it's one of my favourites as well. So I think together I'm gonna play that song, thinking about Rishi, and I'm gonna play it for Rishi and also to his family who might be listening at the moment as well.
Well, that was indeed a terrible loss. Raj Badan, thank you for joining me on Talking Points this morning on your radio station. And may I, on behalf of myself and my listeners, wish you the very best of luck in your new position. Now let's hear Raj Badan's song dedicated to Rishi Modi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the listeners for listening.
ਕੰਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਿੱਪਲ ਪੱਤੀਆਂ ਬਾਹੀ ਚੂੜਾ ਖਨਕੇ ਬੰਠਨ ਕੇ ਮੁਟਿਆਰਾਂ ਆਈਆਂ ਪਟੋਲਾ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਕੰਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਿੱਪਲ ਪੱਤੀਆਂ ਬਾਹੀ ਚੂੜਾ ਖਨਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਵੇ ਮਾਈ ਮੇਰਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਦਿਲ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਵੇ ਮਾਈ ਮੇਰਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਦਿਲ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਮਾਈ
जावी छोड़ के ना तेरे नाल रहना वे तू श्रृंगार मेरा तू है माई गहना वे जावी छोड़ के ना तेरे नाल रहना वे तू श्रृंगार मेरा तू है माई गहना वे हाय दूरी है वैरी जिन्ना तू मेरा ओनी मैं तेरी
मेरे सोहणिया सोहणिया वे माई मेरा किथे नहीं ओ दिल लगना मेरे सोहणिया सोहणिया वे माही मेरा किते नहीं हो दिल लगना
तेरा रास्ता वे नंगे पैर तुरना वे तू है नाल मेरे ता मैं क्यों है डरना वे तेरा रास्ता वे नंगे पैर तुरना वे तू है नाल मेरे ता मैं क्यों है डरना वे हाय दोनों ने रोना दोनों ने हंसना सबनू वे दसना
मेरे सोहणिया सोहणिया वे माही मेरा किथे नहीं हो दिल लगना मेरे सोहणिया सोहणिया वे माही मेरा किथे नहीं हो दिल लगना वे माही मेरा किथे नहीं हो दिल लगना वे माही मेरा किथे नहीं हो दिल लगना
बन के मुटियारा आया पटोला बन के कन्ना दे विच पिपल पतिया बाई चूड़ा करके बन के मुटियारा आया पटोला बन के कन्ना दे विच पिपल पतिया बाई चूड़ा करके
Lyca Radio.